against Brighton. Also not short of controversy, a brilliant win for Spurs over Manchester City, and Manchester United round it off with a 1-0 win against West Brom, and it's a win that moves Manchester United into the top half of the Premier League table. There they go, on to 13 points and above Manchester City, which still means plenty around these parts. Meanwhile, for the visitors tonight, they remain 18th, 3 points from 9. A really struggle for them so far this season. They just can't keep going like that and expect to stay in the Premier League. They'll be frustrated this evening. They'll feel hard done by, but it's still just 3 points on the board for them. So much to talk about. We will, of course, get deep into the penalty decision, but from a Manchester United perspective, it feels like one of those nights where maybe the result was more important than the performance, and they got the result. Yeah, it definitely was. It was just, it was an ugly win, really. They didn't play the best football, and you know, hopefully that'll give them a bit of confidence now that they can go on. They created a few chances second half, I suppose, but you do feel a little bit sorry for West Brom and Slaven. I thought they played well at times, some good performances from them. And you have to wonder, where would United be without Fernandes? Everything goes through him. He creates chances, he scores goals, he scored the penalty. Okay, a little bit of luck. Sam will think he's a little bit unlucky, but you know, he's broke the rules there. And you have to, me and Rio were speaking, you know, before Bruno came in, United could not really create a chance. And now he's here, everything they do is good. He's through him. You have to wonder where they'd be without him.
Yeah, I totally agree. We were talking about him and saying he gives the ball away far, so much in this game. He gave loads of balls away, good balls in good possession. But when you say that, even if you look at the great pieces of play for Man United today, 2 in the first half, all through him. Second half again, everything comes through him, and he's a player who creates, who takes on that responsibility. It seems like he likes that. But Man United need more. I mean, this is a good result in terms of they haven't won here at Old Trafford in the Premier League this season. They've got that monkey off their back now, but there is room for massive improvement still here from the players, individually, but also collectively. OK, thanks, Gent.
Yeah, well done to him. He's the man who took advantage of the penalty that was awarded, but we need to talk about the penalty that was and then subsequently wasn't awarded. Peter Walton's part of our team this evening. Look, Peter, we're going to get right into this because there seems to now be a situation where the referee, for the second time today, it also happened in the match earlier on with Aston Villa, has gone across to a pitch-side monitor when it doesn't feel like a clear and obvious error. What's going on with this clear and obvious thing, first of all? Is that out the window now? Does VAR just look at everything?
No, the law hasn't changed and the interpretation of VAR hasn't changed. It does state clearly that it should be a clear and obvious error made by the match referee. And in both occasions that you've spoken about, the one at Manchester and the one at Villa Park today, personally, I didn't think there was a clear and obvious error in either of them, and I still think the penalty should have been awarded.
OK, so what's happened here then? Once he's awarded the penalty, the referee has been asked by VAR to go back and look at his own decision. Look, we were asking last season to use the pitch-side monitors more often, Peter, but not to overturn what feel like good decisions.
No, that's exactly right, Jake. And again, I'll go back to that word I keep banding about clear and obvious. I don't think the VAR should have got involved. In doing so, the VAR is introducing his own subjective viewpoint to it. And when he asked the referee to go over to that pitch-side monitor, by inference, he's already putting pressure on the referee because the referee is going over there thinking he may have missed something or got something wrong. So really, by doing that, they're lowering the consistency level that VAR is actually out to gain. So for me, Peter, I don't think he should have asked him to go over.
Either explaining it or looking at it anymore, it's a disgraceful decision. It's a completely disgrace. He got it right first way round. He's gone there looking at it. How do you actually go against your decision that you made initially when you're looking at it closely in slow-mo? The more you look at it, the more it's a pen.
Yeah, Rio, you're right. I'm not arguing with you. I think it's a shin on shin. I think Glenn Hoddle mentioned that in matchday commentary. What's gone, in my opinion, there is that he's put pressure on the referee, the VAR, to go over to that monitor. Then he stood there. You can look in slow motion on the VAR, and that's already pressurising the situation. And I think David Coote there was not talked into a situation changing. He was misled in terms of going over there in the first place. I don't think he should have done.
Go on, Paul.
Look, I've seen it about 50 times. I still can't make my mind up, to be honest. I know it does look like a little bit of shin on shin, but it always looks...
don't lie.
Honestly,
don't lie.
Look at him. Look, it does look like he touches the ball as well, just a little bit. And if from another angle, you can see Bruno's reaction straight away to go and complain to the referee that I didn't actually foul him.
Mate, I used to complain about
I do that, yeah. We'd all do that, of course we would, but look, I don't think it's totally conclusive.
Can I come back on that one, Paul?
Go on.
Paul, I'd like to come back on that because that's exactly what the point is. It wasn't clear and obvious. You're arguing maybe one way, I'm arguing maybe the other way, and really VAR there is to make sure the referee doesn't make a right ricket. He didn't in that instance.
Exactly.
Where do we go from here then now? Because if you're looking at little decisions like that, managers and players will be asking the referees to constantly go to the pitch side monitor. They're setting a precedent.
That's what will happen. You are setting a precedent, and I think you're setting a poor precedent in that. You know, we want the game to be played in the manner that we all love, and that's part of the game is opinion. Leave the opinion in, the subjectivity in, and only interfere when there's an obvious error, such as the hand of God. And I will cite that because that's exactly what VAR was introduced for, the hand of God. It wasn't introduced to forensically analyse every decision.
I agree, totally.
I know that obviously Paul remains to be convinced about whether that was a penalty. You are absolutely convinced that it should have been a penalty. We thought that maybe the referee hadn't been given necessary angles to get the decision right. But when you see what he saw, which is the same as what we're looking at, it's all there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's there. I think it's plain and simple to see. I think you've got to look at it from a West Brom point of view as well. They've come here, they've been tight, they've been a solid unit, they've kept to their game plan, and they're looking for little opportunities in a game like that. They get one and it gets taken from under their feet, from under their noses. It's unbelievable, and I just think that, listen, if it was a decision like Peter said where you had to go to VAR because you didn't understand, if I didn't really see if it was the right decision or there was a bit of an error there, that was so clear. That's not what VAR's for, I don't believe.
I'm not sure it was that clear.
Scholes, you just scream for everything in a game. I used to do it the same as well.
Yeah, of course would, but I'm not sure that's that clear. Even from
but then if it's not that clear, it's not clear and obvious, is it? So then it doesn't fall into the parameters of looking at it.
We're going from disaster to disaster week in, week out.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean,
they're not going to get rid of it, of course they're not, but it's just going from one disaster to another, whether it's at Villa Park today or wherever it was, whether it's Old Trafford today. Week on week, it's just going, it's just disastrous.
It's a good point, actually, Peter. There was a feeling that maybe this season they'd just sharpen it up a little bit with VAR. We discussed it on air and said, yeah, it's feeling better. Last 2 or 3 weeks has not been good.
Yes, I think what's happened was when we asked for the referee to go over to have a look at the monitor to make sure that everybody saw who was making that decision, that was the correct way to go about it. What's happened in the last couple of games, as I've seen, is that threshold has been lowered far too low, and now they're bringing in the subjectivity aspect of it. That's not what VAR's for.
When they decided, or when he decided that that's not a penalty, was the opportunity there to go back a little bit to where we think there might have been a foul involving Harry Maguire? And Paul has said that if the West Brom player goes down here, it would have been a red card. Yeah.
It could have been a red card, but I don't think there's enough there, for the VAR to get involved, because I've just explained the point about a clear and obvious error. Yes, there's a slight tug. Does it impede the player? I'm not sure about that, and that's why it wasn't looked at or wasn't formally reviewed.
I don't agree with Peter, Jake, as you'd probably see by my face. I think he does touch him. Yeah. Like it's clear he touches him, but I know Peter's saying it's not enough, but it is enough. Well, once that you get that little nudge, all of a sudden you're off balance. You just can't move forward, and probably a wiser forward probably would have gone down. Okay, he wasn't in the box, but he'd have got a red card, and he gave his team a great chance to win the game. And
it's a reminder that we hate seeing players go down too easily. They get criticised for it, but actually if you don't go down, then they don't get given often.
Well, it's too honest. I can only think he's not gone down because he wasn't in the box.
Yeah.
That is the only reason. But if he thinks about it again, it's a sending off.
Then we come to a penalty at the other end. The question now is, should the penalty at the other end have been awarded initially? Because we believe there was a foul on Conor Gallagher in the build-up to it. And if you're looking at every incident now, this should have been looked at.
This is another stonewaller for me. I think it's the ball comes out here, he takes a touch here. Maybe he shouldn't have took a touch, but there's a clear foul there. There were so many fouls like that given for Man United today. And listen, I want Man United to win, but as a fan, but that's a foul. And then obviously the phaser play goes on, and you can't really argue in today's rules in terms of the handball, but that's a foul. I mean, it's a cheap foul.
I'm not. Yeah, I was just thinking if Peter's still there, how far can you actually go back? Yeah. That's only just before the main penalty incident, Peter. It's right. Clearly a foul.
So you That's a good point to make, Paul. You go back to what they class as the attacking phase of play. It's when they win the ball and make that final pass through. I do think that falls into the attacking phase of play, and as we've seen at the other end, where the penalty kick was awarded for a foul, I do think that was a foul there where he's come from behind, he's clipped his heels, he's fallen over, and they've won possession by a foul practice. I do think that should have been looked at.
Just remind us very quickly, Peter, how many people are at VAR looking at that as well as the referee here? How many people have taken a look at that?
So there'll be two people. There'll be two people. There'll be the VAR and what's called the assistant VAR. Right. So there's two people looking at every instance that we are reviewing, and then if you introduce the referee, there's three eyes. Plus the fact you've got two assistants there and a fourth official on the game. Yeah. So there's a significant amount of officials looking at every challenge.
Well, somebody should have seen that, shouldn't they?
So that's what I was
we said as the game was going on, as it was live, we thought that's a foul.
Yeah, and it's someone at Stockley Park there. Would they have gone back to that incident and looked at that? Would they have pushed that to the referee?
I don't think they just didn't, did they, Peter? It looks like 5 pairs of eyes were on that, and the moment was ignored.
As part of the protocol, every instance when the VAR is looking at, so a penalty kick, as was awarded, has to be looked at, and the VAR should go back to the attacking phase of play and run the tape through, as we've just done there, and identify whether or not there's any ill practice between winning the ball and the handball. And I think there was, and I think that was missed.